So a question people often ask me is, how do the children actually make the books? So once we've worked together to come up with a topic or idea that the children want to write about, we actually start the writing. So they'll start off with my guidance using templates of a flat plan. A flat plan is basically the plan of your book from the very cover, front cover, all the way to the back cover. And we'll actually start writing the story. So this is a work in progress at the moment, page 1, spread 1, and it's the start of the story. The children will handwrite their stories across several pages so that I can keep track of which page and spread it is, which is book speak for where that writing sits in the book. So once they've written their story under my guidance, there's a certain number of pages in which we have to actually tell the story. So I'll be guiding them as in which section we introduce characters, when action needs to happen, when there's a challenge, the adventure that the characters are going on, and then when the story actually ends. So once the children have written the story, it's going to be written by hand, and that's because there's some really wonderful research that shows the hand-brain connection in terms of writing, how it can boost creativity and boost imagination. So once they've written their story, I will take that away, and we're going to bring that back into the story later. Now that we know what the story is, they can start with the actual illustration. So illustration might not be quite the right word for what we do. We used mixed media illustration. What that means is we use different types of materials. For example, here, we've actually used, this is actually printed, but what we actually used to create this back page is actual felt that was then scanned onto a page. So these are going to be the pages for this particular story, and obviously every child's story and book will be unique to them. So we'll sit together, we'll come up with a color palette, we'll figure out what the pages are going to look like. So for this particular story, we used felt on paper, and we stuck it down, and in fact we're upcycling because we're using old paper, so we're actually reusing paper and helping the environment. So we scanned these onto pages here, and here they are. And then what we're actually doing, because this is obviously a work in progress, is based on the story we've now written, we are actually creating the characters. So we've used paper here to create a cloud and a sun, and these are going to be flowers that eventually open. In fact, here they are, they've opened. Let me show you. Here they are. So these two are the same characters, and these flowers have now opened because the sun is up. So what we do is we use mixed media like fabric, leaves, bubble wrap, paper, and then I will have like cuttable characters that the children can use, or we can even create characters like this. And the reason why we cut them out is so that the characters can remain relatively consistent, so the kids don't get frustrated with having a dog on page 1 look different to the dog on page 3, even though it's the same dog. So this is how we'll create the illustrations for the book. Then once that's done, we're going to take these words that they've written, and we're going to high-res scan these into software that we have, and then I will type the words of their book into the book. By the time we get to that stage, the children will have finished writing their story, illustrating their story, and editing their story with their peers. So there's also an element of understanding grammar and typos and sharing their work with their peers. So we'll type the words into the design, and then we'll create a print-ready PDF that's going to go to a printer to professionally print their books in full cover, hardcover. So it's beautiful books, and they will be slightly smaller than an A4, or actually around about the same as an A4 size page. So about this, either horizontal or vertical, landscape or portrait, basically. So that's the process. This is how a book comes once this is not a finished book. This is a work in progress book that's for proofing. That's why it's kind of flimsy. But this is how it looks when they need to proof their book. So the book will be proofed like this. And it'll be typed out like this with the illustrations. This is a kind of a longer book. So the books will vary in size from 32 to 42 pages and about 1,000 words to 2,000 words for them to tell their story. And we'll do a little blurb on the back, and this is obviously a book about a tiger who stripes leave. And this is not the right size of the book, but this is a hardcover book. You can see it's an actual hardcover book, printed in full color. This was for marketing, so the kids won't have this, but we'll jump to the actual illustrations to show you. So they'll be in full color, an actual proper book that's like a hard book. As I mentioned, it won't be the same size as this. This is a different book, different sized book. It'll be about the size of an A4 page, horizontal or vertical or portrait or landscape. I hope that answers some of your questions, but if not, as always, please reach out to me with any questions you have, and I'm looking forward to meeting your children soon and hearing their stories.